In other news worth your attention, there are conflicting reports around the number of people who've died along the Eastern Cape's roads over the past few days. One major accident we know took place yesterday on the N2 between Qumbu and KwaBhaca. Let's get you more details on this. Bring in Eastern Cape Transport spokesperson Unathi Binqose, who joins us via our video link this morning. Unathi, great to have you on the SABC. Thanks very much indeed for making time to speak to us. I understand there were 4 separate incidents. Perhaps let's just begin with what your tallies say around the number of fatalities from these incidents.
Indeed, there were 4 separate fatal crashes that took place in the Eastern Cape over the past weekend. The latest of those happened in the early hours of this morning at around 1 o'clock, which claimed 2 lives. However, Sunday proved to be the deadliest day on our roads, as 6 lives were lost from 2 separate accidents, taking the tally to 10 if you add the 2 that had died earlier in the week on Friday, just outside Komani.
Sure. And are you finding that the cause of these incidents or these fatal crashes is all the same? We know that parts of the Eastern Cape are being gripped by inclement weather, which can make getting around quite difficult.
It really has been a major contributing factor. However, what is disturbing is that there are also elements of, driver negligence in that 3 of these 4 fatal crashes were head-on collisions. Head-on collisions always tell a story that one of the 2 drivers was unfortunately on the right side of the road when the accident happened, and they happened to be dragged in an accident that they never created. However, it's just those 4 crashes that were fatal. We've had quite a number of crashes that took place in the province over this past weekend. And of course, the issue of inclement weather was a major contributing factor. It's been wet and slippery with poor visibility in some areas, and driver behavior has led to those crashes taking place. And our rapid response teams have had their hands full in trying to respond to those crashes. It is for that reason that the MEC for Transport in the province, Mr. Nrata, has constantly called on road users to either delay their traveling or make sure that they are extra vigilant when they are on the road, especially under these weather conditions.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask you next. We know the Education Department has asked pupils who are not in grade 12 to rather consider staying at home because of the inclement weather. What's the official call, I suppose, from the Transport Department about people who are moving around, especially if it's not urgent or in an emergency case?
Look, we'll call upon them to continue to delay their travel time until the weather improves, because it has also affected infrastructure. We've had some mudslide, particularly in the KwaBhaca area. The R344 connecting KwaBhaca with the N2 has been blockaded by a massive mudslide. And of course, with the soil being saturated, we expect that the high-lying areas and the mountain passes may be affected. So for that reason, it will be wise for travelers to maybe rather stay at home to avoid any trouble. But weather forecasters are telling us that it's not long before the weather clears again.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell now because, of course, the story is still unfolding. But what have you been able to gauge about the extent of the damage, especially to public infrastructure? I'm thinking bridges, roads, in some of the most harshly affected areas.
Unfortunately, we haven't been able to quantify the amount of the damages yet, but we can say without any fear of ambiguity that there are some roads, unfortunately, that have been washed off, and more especially in the Sarabat, Nelson Mandela area, that has been the hardest hit by these floods. And of course, some areas around the Buffalo City, East London area have also been affected. The department has dispatched some engineers and civil engineers to go and quantify the extent of the damage. And of course, with the weather and the rain continuing to pour down, it makes our job slightly difficult because it is a moving target. But I'm sure we'll be able to give a proper feedback to the public out there through a media statement on the extent of the damage so far, with the possibility of that damage maybe being far worse, given the fact that it continues to rain in the province.
Yeah, fair enough. Safe to say, though, that as far as the department is concerned, all areas, especially in places where the rains have come down hard, all of those areas are still accessible as we speak.
Except for the road that is linking KwaBhaca to the N2, where there's a massive mudslide, but people are working, the rapid response teams are working there, and we expect to have that road reopened no later than 1 o'clock today.